And we're going to find the solution to this equation below, which is 2x squared plus 3x minus 20 equals 0. So, again, we got to think, okay, ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. And remember that the A part is just the number in front of x squared. Remember that the B part is just the number in front of and the sign in front of x. And then the C part is just the number by itself, okay? So if I were to label these, I would say that A is equal to 2. B is equal to 3. And then lastly, C equals negative 20. So then when I go to do this problem, I need to find two numbers that when I add them up, they equal 3. But then when I multiply those same two numbers, they equal A times C, which in this case would be 2 times negative 20, or negative 40. Well, I know it's going to be maybe 8 and 5, right? Because 8 times 5 is a positive 40. But one of them has to be negative. So the way that I could tell which one is negative is I got to think about how do I add these up so they equal 3. Well, 8 plus negative 5 gives me a positive 3, and 8 times negative 5 gives me a negative 40. So then that means that I'm going to take those two and split up this middle term into 8x minus 5x, right? Doesn't that equal 3x? Yeah. So from here, I'm just going to write down everything else that's left over. Oops. So this becomes 2x squared, just like it was before, and that's a plus 8x. And then minus 20, and all that stuff equals 0. So I'm going to draw my t-chart. What can I factor out of 2x squared and 8x? So we think about what number can I pull out of a 2 and an 8? Well, 2. And do they both have x's? Yes, they both have at least one x, so I could pull out at least one x. 2x times x gives me 2x squared. 2x times what gives me 8x? 4. Now, if I've done my math right, over here, I should have x plus 4. If this is negative, I cannot think of a time where what I pull out is not negative. Like, it will always be negative. I can't think of a time where it wasn't. So if this term is negative, just know that you're probably going to be negative here. Well, what do I multiply x by to get negative 5x? Negative 5. And then does negative 5 times positive 4 equal negative 20? Yep. So I'm going to factor out my common factor of x plus 4. And then multiply that by the stuff that's left over, 2x minus 5. And so I set both these equal to 0. So I've got, oops, I'm getting ahead of myself. So I've got x plus 4 equals 0. And then I've got 2x minus 5 equals 0. So I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides. And I get x equals negative 4. Over here, I'm going to add 5 to both sides. And I get 2x equals positive 5. Then I got to divide by 2. And that becomes x equals 5 over 2. So I could graph this and see if that's like true. So let's do that. Let's graph this real quick. Turn on my handy dandy calculator. And my original equation was 2x squared plus 3x minus 20. I'm going to graph it. Okay, so -4 was one of the choices. So what I could do is if I hit the trace button and then I put in -4 and hit enter, yep, it equals 0. If I enter in 5 divided by 2, which is really 2.5, 2.5, it also equals 0. Now, one way you could do that is you could hit trace. Another way you could do that, let me take a screenshot of this because I want you guys to see all the relationships. So this is this equation. So that's that. But the other thing I want you to see is the tabular data. So if I create a table, I could look at it this way. But what I want to do is I want to hit second table set, and I want to start at -4. And I want the increment, I want it to increase by 0.5. Now I did the 0.5 thing because I know that 5 over 2 is 2.5. So now if I do it this way, when I hit the table, oops, I hit the wrong thing. When I look at the table, I see that 4 is equal to 0. So let me take a screenshot of that. And then if I scroll down some more, what was the other number, 2.5? So if I go down to 2.5, I'll see that that is also equal to 0. Yep. Okay, does anybody have any questions on this stuff? So 2.5 equals 0. And when x equals -4, that also equals 0. Are there any questions on what we did?